Ilia Topuria knocks Charles Oliveira out. That is now Alex Volkanovski, Max Holloway, and Charles Oliveira back to back to back. Paddy Pimblett gets in the cage, and the only thing he could think to say is, "You ain't gonna knock me out. You ain't gonna knock me out." I was surprised he didn't drop the "Scousers don't get knocked out." I would have liked to have heard that one. But you know what he's not saying? Paddy's not saying, "I can take you down. I'm going to submit you. You know, I could strike with you." How about that? Because I don't think he believes that shit. You know, Paddy was having fun, but he wasn't actually trying to get into the cage to do that stare down. Paddy said himself he's down to do a title eliminator fight. They were saying that before this fight. So Joe Rogan's like, "Oh, next sacrificial lamb. How about, you know, the blonde in the front there, Paddy the Fatty?" I don't think Paddy thinks he'll win. So it wouldn't be crazy just to stick with the bad back himself, Arman Tsarukyan, or apparently weight miss. I don't know. I'm sure his back was still hurt. I think people have, you know, listened to what Dana said at the press conference. For reference, Dana said at the post-fight press conference that that Arman Tsarukyan was going to miss weight for the Islam Makhachev fight. And, you know, now he just made weight for this one as a backup. It's a good thing. But I still think his back was hurt. Like, I think the MMA community's taken this and been like, "See, it's all fake news. It's all bullshit. Really, he was just going to miss weight, so they didn't fight." If he was going to miss weight by a couple pounds, I think Islam would have been like, "All right, fuck it. Let's run it." You know? That was never part of the narrative. It was a pullout. He pulled out. And his reasoning was back injury. I believe all that stuff still. So don't believe it just because you hear it from talking heads. Ilia Topuria shows that he can box, he can wrestle, and he can even play a little jiu-jitsu with the likes of a Charles Oliveira. You heard the commentators as soon as Charles got those double underhooks on him against the fence. Charles is so strong. He's going to, you know, he tried to do this to Michael Chandler. He's going to try to drag him to the ground. I think Ilia is stronger than Charles. I don't buy that. You know, they were saying that people have said that Charles hit harder than any other lightweight. I'm sure getting hit by a kneecap from Charles is not nice. That left hook looked mean against, was it Chandler? But I think Ilia hits harder, right? Isn't that referenced in the outcome? Ilia Topuria could be the best fighter in the world. Now, we don't know for sure, right? I want to stop short because people are already giving him flowers like he's GSP John Jones. I've heard some crazy fucking references, okay? Because Alex Volkanovski, Max Holloway, and Charles Oliveira. Remember, before this, he was fighting Josh Emmett to a decision. Josh Emmett. Can we give Josh Emmett some flowers for making a decision happen with Ilia Topuria? Does that not age nicely now? I think all three of those champions are not at the peak of their prime. You're seeing the latter half of those careers, especially Charles. Max and Volk too. You know, even though Volk beat Diego Lopez, you know, I still think Volk 3, 4, maybe 5, probably 4 years ago is at his peak. So, you know, how much love are we going to give him? I think the real fight is Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria. I mean, that's the one. People are still talking about it, even though they've got the matchup at 170 for Islam. I mean, if Islam was watching last night, don't you think his reaction is, this is the fight? Right? Don't you think he thinks this is the big fight? What is he going to do the welterweight title for? Legacy? I think Topuria and Islam is the legacy fight. I think Islam, cancel your plans, bro. Pull an Arman Tsarukyan, pull out of that fucking fight and come back and fight Ilia Topuria Like Joe Rogan said, I will fly to Spain. We have to see this fight. We have to see Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev. Come on, UFC. Don't fuck around. Now, I know that Ilia has talked about, if Islam wins the belt, he'll move up and fight him at 170. How many advantages are we going to give this Dagestani? He's way bigger already. Now you're going to have him fight at 170? Come on. 155 is the place to do this. Let's get Islam Makhachev making weight, a little drained out, right? And let it happen for the 145 champ. Come on, man. You ain't got to do it at 170. What's with these guys? McGregor did the same thing. We'll fight at 170 then. Bro, you're going to gas. You're slower. What do you mean? You have the best level of technique on the balls of your feet at 145. 155 can work too, but 170, we're starting to lose some of these attributes. There's this thought out there, like, if you just fight at your natural weight, you'll fight the best. Not necessarily. When you lean out and you get your body in that fucking marathon runner shape, these guys have different attributes at that weight. For instance, speed, right? The lighter Connor, the lighter Topuria, I think is better than the 170-pound speed. We could agree to that, right? Anyway, he fucking knocked the doors off of Charles Oliveira. By the way, gave it out as a most confident pick on my previous show. By the way, went 5 for 5 on most confident picks. Make sure you tune in every fucking Monday night. Don't miss one because, I do this 5 for 5 thing pretty often. All right? Patty the fatty. That's what I'm saying, Mr. D. All right, let's talk about the card. Boom, boom, boom. Flowers to Ilia Topuria. Beautiful performance. But I still want to see that Islam fight. All right. We'll start at the bottom, go to the top. Diniz beat Alvin Hines. Diniz, much better at striking. Nothing was surprising about this fight. Alvin Hines' toughness, I was wondering about anyway. The fact that Alvin Hines didn't try to wrestle more, maybe. But I called this fight right down the line. I gave this out as a bet in the premium channel. I put it together with Ilia Topuria, and that was my biggest bet. And that's why, man, it was an absolute lock. This Alvin Hines guy I did my tape study on is not UFC level, certainly not Diniz level. An easy win for Diniz. Jacoby Smith running over Nico Price, ground and pound. Jacoby Smith, the biggest favorites on the card by far. Did I hear biggest favorite ever? I don't think that's correct. That can't be correct. That cannot be correct. But fucking massive favorite over Nico Price. He showed why. Different points of their career, different. Yeah. A lot of things are different. Terrence McKinney versus Slavaclause. Terrence McKinney getting Slavaclause out of there. Called this one too. Nice 3-0 start to the card for your boy. Terrence McKinney, more explosive, better on the ground, got Slavaclause where he wanted the fight, and that's kind of how the cookie crumbled. I mean, Slavaclause is a great striker, but the chaos that Terrence McKinney brings in, I think some people see Terrence McKinney and they're like, oh, Chinny McKinney, he's only a first-round fighter. Yeah, but you got to survive that storm, and not everybody's making it out. Solid performance by Terrence McKinney. Tracy Cotez defeats Viviane Araujao. Viviane Araujao, not good enough with the grappling. Didn't press her fight enough. Tracy Cotez able to just be kind of patient and fight her fight. So props to her. I doubted her. A lot of people doubted her, but Tracy Cotez getting it done. That's why I stayed away from that fight. Viviane Araujao at the latter part of her career, and I think you started to see it. The fight IQ's not there. She's just kind of playing right into the hands of Tracy Cotez. Not a great performance by Araujao. Tracy Cotez held it down. Jose Delgado knocking out Hyder Amil within 30 seconds of the first round. I called the knockout. Jose Delgado, I said Jose like he's Brazilian. Very, very talented striker. Hyder Amil too wild. A lot of people were on Hyder Amil, and my problem with that was the rent is due for a KO. Like, my man comes in there wild, head on the center line a little too much, banging, bringing pressure. He's got balls. You got to respect it, but a sharp striker who can snipe him. Okay. That's a big issue. And you saw him run into some shots from Delgado. Beautiful work. Beautiful knockout. Gregory Rodrigues, speaking of knockouts, Robocop delivers. That was one of the 5 most confident picks. Robocop makes it happen against a rusty Jack Hermansson who'd been out for a while. You could see that. You could see that. And Robocop just found the chin, man. You cannot be on the wrong side of this guy's shots. He's fucking massive. He hits so hard. And, you know, the price of just putting your hands up and trying to block is sometimes they're going to get through. Robocop able to punch his ticket. Great job bouncing back from that defeat. He recently had against Jared Cannonier. Robocop's a bad motherfucker. And the jiu-jitsu wasn't there for Jack Hermansson. So Jack Hermansson couldn't make it happen on the ground. You get stuck on the feet with this fucking animal. Robocop, it's hard, man. Payton Talbott over Felipe Lima. Beautiful win by Payton Talbott. He was able to show improved defensive wrestling, improved everything. I mean, these guys are so young. You'll see them get better all the time. You saw him just be a little bit patient. And again, the focus on the defensive wrestling really paid dividends here because you knew that, you know, Felipe Lima was going to try to get him down on the ground and take his back. Great work by Payton Talbott, showing new wrinkles to his game, man. That was impressive. That was a pretty good performance by Payton Talbott. 2 young guns, you know, Payton Talbott said it before the fight. They'll probably see each other again. Beneil Dariush defeats Renato. Moicano. Moicano had to afford to lose because he did not do enough in that 3rd round. You know, rounds were clearly 1-1. I don't know what the fuck. It was unanimous. I don't know what the scorecards ended up looking like. But for anybody who knows what they're talking about, rounds were clearly 1-1. Okay? It was a slow start by Beneil Dariush. Makes sense. Beneil was out for fucking 1.5 years or something. I don't know. He's been out for a long time after getting flatlined, by the way. At least a year. And, you know, he had to knock off some of the rust, and Renato Moicano is a pretty fast starter, so it makes sense. Money Moicano gets the 1st round. Beneil adapts, starts wrestling in the 2nd and using his jiu-jitsu and dominated from half guard, just kind of held him down. I mean, maybe dominated strong, held him down, controlled. How about that? Was able to control really well from the half guard and, you know, got the dub. Was able to grind it out in the 3rd, too. You know, another guy who's not quite in his prime, you know, and you could see that, but it was enough to get the decision over a pretty game, Renato Moicano. Renato Moicano just didn't throw enough. You know, I heard DC questioning the fight IQ of Money Moicano. Ooh, Moicano's going to love that. What are you talking about, my brother? What are you talking about, my brother? The fight IQ? He's fucking Money Moicano, man. You know, I think that the fight IQ is relatively there. It's just he made a mistake. He made a mistake. He tried to wrestle in the 3rd round, especially at the end of the 3rd round, instead of go for it. He needed a spinning back elbow. He needed a knee to the face, you know? He needed a head kick. A shot was not it. And, you know, as somebody who's been tired in a cage fight before, I could say that it's easier at home to be like, you should do this. You know, you should be punching. Like when you feel that fatigue a little bit, you know, wrestling is taking that shot, and just getting into the hips and pushing into the fence. It costs a lot less energy to initiate a takedown and chill than it does to like actually get in there, bite down on your mouthpiece and bang it out. When you're tired, you know, it takes a certain type of savage to bang it out. And Moicano wasn't feeling that way. So Money Moicano, you know, busy guy too. Like I said before, he's opening a new gym. He's got the family stuff. I mean, you know, Money Moicano's got a lot of moving parts. Hopefully we see him bounce back. Joshua Van versus Brandon Royval. Holy shit. This fight was badass. Did I not say it would be a badass fight? How many of you were like, Joshua Van's going to fucking dog walk him? I heard that from a few people. Y'all crazy. Royval is a rangy guy, right? Very tall for the weight class. He's game. He's in his prime. And his fucking output is high. So even though he was missing a lot of shit, you know, as Joshua Van comes in, then he walks into it. Bop, 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 puts 3-4 punches on him. Joshua Van kind of forgetting to move his head in that 2nd and 3rd round. It got a little crazy. He wasn't really taking care of the jab. You know, something I noticed watching this fight is that Joshua Van relies so heavy on that parry, the way he parries your jab and he keeps that jab at bay with his hands, that when you get past that parry by feinting him, like, Royval's corners, like feint with your feet first. That was really starting to work in that second round because you get him to parry, nothing, and then pop, pop, you hit him with something. And the head movement wasn't really there, right? So I think people thought his boxing was here when really it's that parry and he could slip big shit, but that jab, he wasn't getting past those little peppering shots. He was not getting out of the way of those, and those started to accumulate, started to see Royval take over that second round. And the third round was fucking badass too, all the way till the buzzer. Remember, that could have been Brandon Royval's fight if it was not for the last 10 seconds. Okay? And I'm not trying to write off the last 10 seconds. The right man won. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that was a fucking fight. That was a war. Okay? If you were out there locking Joshua Van, betting big money on Joshua Van, admit it. Admit your palms were sweaty the last minute of that fight. Admit it. That's all I want. Fucking great fight. Joshua Van is the truth. Still got some shit to work on. Like I said, slipping the jab, keeping his head on a swivel. He's real patient, which is awesome, but he just kind of stands there with that big ass head of his. He kind of needs to be on a swivel. I need to see him bending his knees, moving his head off the center line. At 23 years old, is that how old he is? I'm sure there will be improvements to the game. Joshua Van getting right into the title shot with the man in the co-main event, Alexandre Pantoja, running over Kai Kara-France. It wasn't close. God damn. It's not just the wrestling. See, like, I think if you just try to wrestle Kai Kara-France, it could be a problem. And that's, I'm thinking of a Kai Kara-France who can, scramble with people and wrestle with people and get back to his feet. The problem here was the matching of the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu of Pantoja. God damn, he sucked him into that body triangle twice where Kai Kara-France was building. You heard Cormier on the broadcast. Oh, he's doing a great job. In wrestling, he was doing a great job, but Pantoja has this jiu-jitsu that he pulls you into as well, where he would just get that body triangle and hang on to him. God damn, was that a good performance by Pantoja. Props to Pantoja. Props to Pantoja. That's all I could say. Pantoja looked world class. He gets on the mic. He's like, this is disrespectful. I need to be higher in the pound for pound. No, you don't. You saw what Topuria just did? You're not fucking with that. He got a nasty finish. But goddamn, Islam Makhachev and Topuria, I mean, of course. Of course those two are higher in the pound for pound. They're just doing, they're just doing that next level shit, man. Pantoja's doing great, though. Can't hate. It's just, it seems like his division is thinner, right? Look at how the title shots are getting, 23-year-old who was just fighting Bruno Silva on what, fucking Fight Night undercard? I don't know. Maybe it was the main card. But not a big fight, not in the rankings, right? Gets a shot against the number one contender, gets a close decision with him in a fucking incredible fight, and then gets the shot at 23 years old. That's how thin the division is. So that's your problem, Pantoja. He's real good. I'll put some respect on it. All right. I'll put some more respect on Pantoja's name. He is top 5 pound for pound. He deserves it. It's not his fault. He's in a division that is thin. Wicked performance. Wicked choke too. Fucking guy's a legit threat on the ground. The guy is a real black belt. That is beautiful work. Islam Makhachev can't question. Who give you a belt, brother? Can't question him on that. And Ilia Topuria over Charles Oliveira. Ilia Topuria was able to touch him right away. Look, right when the fight started, Ilia Topuria gets out there, pop, hits him right away, touched him with a jab. I think he put even a right hand on him, and he just let Charles Oliveira know, you ain't walking me down, bro. And so Charles Oliveira switches gears, starts to grapple. I thought Charles Oliveira's performance was all right. It was just the problem was when he comes forward, he's just coming forward with his head on the center line. Him and Joshua Van had the same idea here. You want to get your head off that center line, and so Charles Oliveira was just very findable for Ilia Topuria. And it's not the first time we've seen him do this, I expected the grappling, and that's why I expected the fight to go into the second, third, even fourth or fifth. because Charles Oliveira's jiu-jitsu is so high level, I assumed that Charles Oliveira would try to drag him onto the ground, create grappling exchanges, and that when Ilia knocks him down, Ilia is going to let him up. All that shit happened. Ilia was the one who had to put him clean out, and he did. He did exactly what the fuck he said he was going to do. He put him clean out. Because if you drop Charles, you have to let him up. Nobody finishes Charles Oliveira in the first round. Okay? Last time he was finished in the first round was 2015 when he had a shoulder injury. Been a long time. But Topuria is the guy to do it. So, very impressed. Note taken. Topuria's power is one punch KO power. I mean, Charles Oliveira, he has to be very dynamic and rangy, right? Or move his head if he's going to press forward like that. So, he walked right into, you saw Topuria, he like pop a jab out there. He took that little slide step back. I call it a float when I train people, little float back, and then pop, right hand, left hook, bang, bang, put those two on him. Textbook shit. Beautiful performance by Ilia Topuria. He could easily be the best fighter in the world. Islam Makhachev could be the best fighter in the world. Come on, guys. We got to see that fight. How the fuck? That was International Fight Week main event. That's what it should have been, I think it was actually cool that Ilia Topuria got to make his debut at lightweight. It gets the, it gets the process down, right? It's a good thing. It's a good thing that he got that. He'll be even better by the time they hopefully make that fight. All right. UFC 317, massive success for the UFC. Free Channel 8. I gave out the free bet of over 2.5 rounds, Moicano versus Dariush. That was meant to be 5 for 5 on my most confident pick. Super happy about that. Fucked up in the premium channel, but we hit a big parlay, which was Ilia Topuria and Janata Diniz, and absolutely gonna have a wonderful comeback here with these next ones. You look at these next events, some awesome fights. You got Texas's own against Teixeira, Derek Lewis. You've got the BMF title fight. There's some fun stuff coming up this summer. I'm excited about it. I hope you guys are too. Thanks for coming to hang out. I'll glance at the comments. What up, guys? Yeah, I think even Ilia felt bad for Charles. Ilia generates so much power. He does, man. He throws with his body, his hips, his ass, his legs. You could just see the pop he has in short range. It's a great look. It is close range shots. A lot of punchers whip their shit, right? They're whipping punches out there. Ilia boxes just in that classic compact style. It's beautiful to watch. Joshua Van bringing a pay-per-view back to Houston, Texas. In his right hook and left hook. Bro, his jab and cross. Derek Lewis is a bum. Jesus. Forget about the Dagestanis. They're boring. Topuria is the new show. Topuria is a show, man. Topuria is something else. It's really fun to watch. What a treat. That's really 2025 MMA, He got out of that leg entanglement. He even passed Charles' guard to side control. He's like choosing how he wants to win. It's really impressive shit. I missed Araujao. You guys fucked up Araujao. What up, AJ? Smash the likes, you savages. Smash the fucking likes and go check out my boy AJ on MMA Experts. What up, AJ? I feel like Money doesn't have the striking offense when the fatigue sets in. Definitely grappler first. Dariush keeps the career alive. Yeah, it was fatigue too. Yeah. You heard the commentators, AJ. They're like, oh, his fight IQ. He's fucking tired, man. He's fucking tired. I know he shot a takedown at the end. That was not good. Because he should have known he was going to lose. It even looked like when they were standing there, though, he's like, please. I think he raised his hands after the fight, right? I don't know, man. It's hard to tell when you're in there too, but not nearly enough output. He needs to relax. I'm surprised he got that fatigue because he didn't do shit from bottom half guard. He was just laying there in bottom half guard hanging on. But, it's Beneil Dariush. It's a fucking problem. I would have hit a 40-1 parlay, but I chose Pantoja by decision. Damn. Finch, man, your eyes look too white for a Sunday night. Yo, hey, I'm going out with wifey right now. Maybe I'll hit the blunt, yeah? Hit the blunt, yeah? Never bet on fighters 38 and over. Unless you got Randy Couture, bro. I still had Van winning round 3. Fuck yeah. Yeah. Van won 1 and 3, and Royval won 2. Yep. All right. All right. I'm running through this. Who you got? Patty versus Ilia. Patty sub. Charles has 0 head movement, but I thought he at least gets slept in round 2 due to his grappling. Exactly. You know, like didn't able to keep him there. But Topuria lets him back up, and Charles just walks right towards him, you know? And you saw he was trying to catch him with that knee up the middle. Royval was trying that shit against Van, too. You're against these short boxers. Like, all right, let's knee him in the fucking face, you know? Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate that. Like, share, sub, become a member. Please, please tell your friends, tell your mom, like the video, leave a comment, leave a W in the chat if you got nothing to say, and please subscribe to the channel. I'm getting up to 10,000. Can we get to 10,000? You guys watching this video right now can make that happen. I would really appreciate it. Thank you guys for being here. I'm going to take 1 week off because there's no fights. Enjoy your July 4th. Go celebrate the 249th birthday of America. If you're not in America, I still hope you pour a shout out for us. You could even launch a firework. You guys got those over there in your communist countries? I'll be launching off a firework or 2. I will see you guys right back when the UFC's back. I appreciate y'all. And hey, we had some badass fight. What a badass way to end before July 4th, before a little week break. A Topuria, wicked, legendary KO. I think we're all lucky to see it. Until next time, it's peace and love.